So raise your hand if you're running your own startup right now. All right. Raise your hand if you are an immigrant in the country you're working right now. Beautiful. This is my tribe. I'm at home. Thank you. So today, the company I co-founded with Kai 22 years ago is publicly listed on NASDAQ. We're the largest B2B SaaS player in the Microsoft Cloud ecosystem with over 2,000 employees servicing 17,000 customers around the world to help advance their digital workplaces. But as we think back in our lives, we tend to think about the major events that catapult us into success. I believe it's actually the challenging times, the toughest times, that actually make us who we are and expel us forward. So there are 4 defining moments in my life that I want to share with you today, and hopefully 1 or 2 of them will resonate with you. That will help you in your entrepreneurial journey. First, we all know that grit is essential for entrepreneurs. Grit is the courage and the resolve to pursue something. My earliest memory of grit, realizing that inside of me when I went to immigrate from Beijing to Bethesda, Maryland when I was 11 years old. I didn't speak English. I didn't know the culture. The only people I knew are my parents and the other 2 families we share a small house with, and we had no money. I went from being the top of my class in Beijing, elementary school, to struggling through English as a second language class. My classmates were also laughing at me when my parents went to a local yard sale to buy me clothes. My story could have ended there. But that's not why my parents, who survived the Cultural Revolution and sacrificed everything to bring us to America, that's not why they did it. This was not good enough. So I got to work. I challenged myself academically, physically, and emotionally every day. I learned English. I took the most challenging class I could take in my high school, and I also joined the wrestling club. I joined the chemistry club, chess club, physics club, computer lab. I also played saxophone in the school orchestra and jazz band, and I took the hardest class I could find in my school. At the same time, I also delivered newspapers, mow lawns, rake leaves, and shovel snow, so I don't have to ask my parents for any money. I was very lucky and fortunate that I got into Cornell as an international student. Graduated in 3.5 years with both undergraduate and master's degree. Got my first job, paid my parents back on the tuition money, and bought my first car. So this grit and determination I developed as an immigrant is very, very important as I persevere in the later part of my life in my startup journey. Second lesson, life is short, and we'll have to take risks. I got my first Wall Street job at Deutsche Bank writing trading systems. I caught the eyes of my managing director and moved to Lehman Brothers, World Trade Center 1. Amidst the gleaming tower and bustling street, I felt I have arrived. This is an immigrant, nobody, who couldn't speak a word of English, and now I was making more money than I thought possible. This is the American dream, right? Then came September 11, 2001. Getting ready to work, I thought about my colleague who had just joined Lehman Brothers a week ago. He had an offer at the same time from Cantor Fitzgerald, who's 40-plus stories above my office, which is 40th floor of World Trade Center 1. The hiring manager walked him across the entire floor and told him they have the best view in all of Manhattan. My colleague decided to stay at Lehman and got to work at 8 a.m. that day. I always arrived at 9, so at 8:30, when I was trying to cross the Hudson River from Exchange Place, I saw smoke billowing out into the perfect blue sky from the office building at World Trade Center 1. I had no idea what's happening. All I could think about is, was if my colleague was okay. Was he safe? Well, he made the last ferry back to New Jersey late that night, when unfortunately many didn't. So it took 9/11 and the unpredictability of life and things to show me my interest, my true interest, did not lie writing high-frequency trading systems on Wall Street. I needed to explore what my passion truly is. So I went back to NYU to go for an MBA. A year later, I transferred into the full-time doctor program to study data mining and machine learning so I can gain more skills. Going from making great money on Wall Street to actually being a full-time student living in New York City was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. What should I do next? Should I follow the footsteps of my parents and be an academic? Or should I go back to Wall Street? I actually consulted at Citadel, the biggest hedge fund in America. I interned at Moody's. I spent months soul searching. And then I ran into my former colleague at Lucent Bell Labs, Kai. He had been laid off by Lucent since the internet.com bubble burst. And he's been working on a new startup called AvePoint in a Somerset public library in New Jersey. He asked me to join him. This was terrifying, yet exhilarating at the same time. Everything was new. As a founder, new startup, I had to do everything: marketing, sales, customer support, pre-sales. Leaving my stable Wall Street job to pursue my passion for technology was a risk, but I believe it was a necessary and required. And entrepreneurship today, more than ever, needs the deepest belief in technology. My third lesson is to not let fear rule you. Keep your eyes on the North Star. Today, the company I co-founded with Kai is NASDAQ listed. But for the first 3 years, we made no money while running the company. Nobody will want to buy software on a CD that does Microsoft Exchange backup from two dudes out of New Jersey Public Library. Life was a grind. But there was a new product that Microsoft released called SharePoint. Our product for Exchange was not selling, so why not build something for SharePoint? That's what we did. We brought computers and desktops to customer meetings because we couldn't afford laptops. We scraped together enough money to go to Microsoft TechEd, their biggest tech trade show, where we had our breakout moment. I was able to stand on the table and say, we have a product to help you move to the new version of SharePoint, when no one else did at the time. So since then, we're known as the guys that always pick the hardest bone to chew and be able to give our customers solutions. So that's how we picked up steam and got really started in the B2B software world. Since then, we also experienced 3 economic recessions. In 2008, when the world froze, we went to our venture capital backers for help. When you're told that you should just sell to your next big competitor, or you should bring in an experienced CEO to take over, or you're the single worst thing that happened to this otherwise fine engineering company, I had to not allow the fear and barrage of criticism to take me away from my North Star. After we went public in July 2020 at $2 billion valuation, the tech market took a downturn. Many of you remember that. And now I have a new audience. We have a new audience of critical investors who question every daily fluctuation in the stock market. We didn't build this company for 22 years to buckle under the pressure of short-term interest, only gunning after short-term returns. Those guys were not with us in Somerset Public Library coding. They were not with us when we were carrying computer towers to customer meetings because we couldn't afford laptops. I had to remember why I took the tremendous risk of leaving a comfortable job on Wall Street to join Kai in this new endeavor. And we have to block out everything else. My last lesson is that nothing is impossible. For me, the best way to distress and unclutter my mind is to go for long runs. I suffered a serious lower back injury from wrestling in high school, and I was told I would never be able to complete a marathon. As I pound the pavement every day, I wanted to do a marathon. Some would say I'm foolish. But I continue to train and follow the schedule. And my first marathon was here in Singapore, the Sundown Marathon. Some of you may have tried it. It was really, really hard, being the first one. I had to walk, and thought about quitting, but I finally finished. And like many moments in my life, I want to do more. So I decided to go after a new goal, where only 11,000 people in the world have completed the Abbott 6, where I have to run 6 more marathons around the world. So this is a picture of my first Abbott 6 Berlin Marathon, where I was determined to run continuously and not walk at all. So I felt tremendous pain shooting, from my leg in the last 5 miles, but I finished 4.5 hours later without stopping, without walking. As I crossed the finish line, I called my wife and wept. This again proved to me that nothing was impossible. So just like business, it's all about your mindset. The entrepreneurial journey often feels impossible. You hear many of that here today. But we must remember to believe in ourselves, stay focused, and work hard. When we do this, anything is possible. Each of you have at least one moment in your life where you face an insurmountable challenge. Are you going to learn from it? Or are you going to allow it to end your dream of entrepreneurship? If you establish a foundation of grit, plunge into the unknown, remember your why, and believe that nothing is impossible, you will look back on these difficult, challenging moments with pride because you did what no one thought possible. I'm thankful for my parents who risked everything to bring me to America and give me the opportunity to learn about grit and hard work. I'm also thankful for all the challenges I have faced because they have made me into the entrepreneur, husband, father, brother, and son that I am today. I'm confident that your most difficult moments will too. Thank you.